on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Wednesday, Valentine's Day. There's love in the air, and it's Manchester United. That's what love's about. That's what we're loving. This evening, we're loving developments when it comes to Dan Ashworth to Manchester United. Flex and myself, we were on the Morning View this morning, and we were saying, hey, this one, well, Flex had to take a call and missed quite a bit of it, but we were saying, hey, things could be developing rather quickly with this one, because the barometer to which to judge by would be Omar Barada, the signing of him from Manchester City as Manchester United's new CEO to start in the summer. That one kind of came out of nowhere. That one happened very, very quickly. A meeting with Brailsford, a meeting with Ratcliffe, a meeting with the Glazers, then it was done. And we said, hey, this one could move rather fast. And indeed, that looks to be the case this evening, with reports suggesting that an agreement between Dan Ashworth, Manchester United and Newcastle United, of course that's where Dan Ashworth currently is employed, could be as soon as next week. Yes, next week. We're going to be getting into the reports. We're going to be getting into the details of this emergency surprise Wednesday evening live. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. I know you'll be like, hey, I didn't even know you guys were going to be live. Nor did we. But sometimes the news is a newsin', and sometimes you've got to react, and you've got to go quick, certainly, as well. So smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. You know what to do. Remember, you can also become a member. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. We can see who's in the chat already, actually. Got a members chat from JP87TM. It's been a member for 19 months. 19 over a year and a half for support. Look at that. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of the members. Appreciate everyone in the free seats right now. Appreciate, actually, live chat. Come on, Owen. You're better than that. Live chat. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. That's who else is in here as well? Strikers is in there. Says, what's up, Owen? Mustafa's in there. Says, big up, Owen, as well. Array's in there. Says, big up, Owen, in chat as well. Samir's saying, big up, Owen. Sending much love all the way from Somalia as well. Dooms Booms says, big up, Owen. Yes, everyone's coming in right now. Dean Robinson says, breaking news, Owen. As All Elite says, things are happening as well. Yes, things are indeed happening, aren't they? Let's get into it. Let's get into the news and the developments this evening when it comes to Dan Ashworth. Now, it comes from an exclusive story from the Daily Mail. Specifically, it comes from Craig Hope, who is reporting that, again, this agreement could be in place by next week. He has written that Manchester United and Newcastle are expected to reach an agreement over Dan Ashworth by early next week, Mail Sport understands. A formal approach from Man United is being prepared for the sporting director, and a swift conclusion is the preference of all parties. Ashworth wants to swap St James's Park for Old Trafford, and if a compensation package is agreed, there will be movement in the coming days. So that in itself... That in itself is massive. I mean, there's more to this report, but once again, they're saying that the expectation is that Manchester United and Newcastle United, they're expected to reach an agreement over Dan Ashworth by early next week. Now, just once again, to stress, as of this morning, there were rumblings. As of this morning, there was, well, there's an expectation that United are going to go in. Well, there's an expectation that maybe Dan Ashworth is thinking about swapping. Everyone knows that's the preference of Ineos. They're not even talking to anyone else. They haven't even got another target. By this evening, it's, oh yeah, next week the expectation is there's going to be an agreement in place. That's how quickly Ineos are moving when it comes to these executive hires. Now, the report continues by saying the 52-year-old is seen as the best in the business by incoming Man United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and the focus of his remit would be recruitment. Ashworth has not had as much control as he expected at Newcastle, the club he joined in the summer of 2022, which I suppose that line there is quite significant too, as well, for all of the discussion of, well, why would Dan Ashworth want to come to Manchester United? He's got this money, he's got this project, he's got all of this future ahead of him at St James's Park. Why would he want to come to Manchester United? I suppose the first bit is it's Man United, and two, maybe the job wasn't really what he thought it was going to be over at St James's Park. And then suddenly, when a more attractive, lucrative, and more, I don't know, again, what you're more looking for comes offered to you, comes across the table, you go, hey, maybe there's a way out of this. Now, it does stress in the report there has been no fallout, but it is thought the lure of the project at Manchester United and his relationship with Sir Dave Brailsford has persuaded him the time is right to move on. So they're stressing no fallout or anything like that, but they are saying This is not that this is done, but I guess his mind is made up, which is kind of what Samuel Luckhurst was reporting this morning as well, when he was saying that Dan Ashworth wanted to leave St James's Park and swap it for Old Trafford. Continues by saying Ineos are not waiting around as they anticipate formal approval of their 25% stake in United and control of the club's football operation. A bit of a sidebar on that one as well. There was FA approval today as well, so I think the expectation for that is next week too. There's obviously the tender deadline that's coming up later on this week, so the thought process is that, plus a couple of minor details we could be looking at next week for full ratification. But the report continues by saying recruitment is their number one priority with the rebuild of the stadium's secondary. They are determined to find a better balance to recruitment than what has been achieved over the past 10 years and have identified Ashworth as the ideal lead to a new-look recruitment team. Finally, it says other support appointments are expected to follow quickly as United want to be ready to move early ahead of the summer transfer window with targets already being identified. This just feels... Hearing words like appointments quickly and to be ready early and then to be followed by summer transfer window, it does feel too good to be true. It does feel too like this isn't normal or anything like that. But again, it's positive noises, certainly. Brailsford and Jim Ratcliffe showed their intentions to bring in the best with the astute acquisition of Omar Barada as chief executive from neighbours Manchester City, and Ashworth will be viewed as another statement of their intent. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, things are moving quickly. Things are moving fast when it pertains to Dan Ashworth. And you go from this morning of interest, no formal approach, to this evening where they're suggesting, yes, no formal approach, but once the approach goes in, it's going to be pretty quickly done. And when we say pretty quickly done, we're talking, well, I guess within the next 7 days. That quickly, by next week, which is incredibly positive news. Incredibly positive news from Manchester United. And it's something that I alluded to this morning on the Morning View, that I know that our point of reference is so skewed, isn't it? Our point of reference is so skewed with anything in terms of incomings, whether it be transfers, whether it be executive hires, whether it's be, anything with that, talks. Our viewpoint is skewed because we're used to drawn out sagas. We're used to long stories and long reports of that spread across several months. I mean, look at the strategic review of alternatives. It took place over a year, well over 12 months to get to the point where we are right now. So we're used to that. We're not used to things happening quickly, decisively, and also going for the best and succeeding in acquiring the best. But I think that Omar Barada hire was a real indication of, wow, okay, things are moving. Things are developing quite quickly. Maybe the strategy has changed. And the strategy is identify the best, go after the best, and be quick. Get it done. Sell the project. What's there to sell? It's Manchester United. Do you want to come work for the biggest and best club in the world? Yes or no? No? We'll go find someone else. Yes? Right, come on. If you've got anything about you, you'll say yes. And they say yes very quickly. So there are obviously details to be worked out. I know there was pushback on social media with people today going, Newcastle aren't going to let him go without a fight. But at the same time, I think the compensation number that's been thrown around is something like £6 million. I know there was this report that was suggesting that, Newcastle, if they wanted to, could place him on gardening leave until something like 2025, so he couldn't start at Manchester United until 2025. Maybe that's what they would like to do, but I don't think they will. They're not going. I don't think they're going to be that petty and stand in the way of him if he wants to leave. They'll get the compensation. They'll move on. What are you going to do? Keep a sporting director that doesn't want to be there? In a real position of power and significance. So I don't see that as happening. I think that, as the report mentions from the Mail there, I think all parties are going to try and get this done as quickly as possibly can, move on and settle into their new jobs. Now, obviously, with Ashworth, it might be a similar situation to Omar Barada, whereby he can't start officially to the summer, but we're also being naive if we think that, oh yeah, it's been agreed. Can't start to the summer though. July 1st, you wait, and you're definitely not going to do anything. You're definitely not going to do anything between now and the summer, right? You're not going to work at all. Nope. You're not going to call anyone. Definitely not. Definitely won't. In the same way that Jim Ratcliffe hasn't been officially ratified. We've already appointed a CEO, and we're in talks. They're saying that Dan Ashworth could be, an agreement could be in place between Dan Ashworth and Manchester United by next week. But he's not ratified yet, so he's definitely not working, right? Dave Brailsford hasn't been around Carrington talking to the players and talking to everyone there, right? So despite them not officially starting till the summer, work is very much underway. Manchester United and the plans for the summer are very much underway. So it's absolutely positive news. I'll get to a super chat here. Actually, I saw one come in. I doubt the legitimacy. I feel like this is damage control. This is Minna trying to be clever. This is Minna trying to be smart, and maybe get around. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is Minna, maybe it's not Minna. Maybe it is, look, the UV community can move in crazy ways. We've got Nubian Pharaoh's nephew, or Nubian Pharaoh's long-lost son, or something like that in there. I'm sure you're probably watching somewhere. But this one's from Minna's nephew. It says, in our family, we refer to Auntie Minna as Division 12 Minna. Now, I look at this one of two ways, okay? It's either this is just a member of the UV community that's made a fantastic account and put in an excellent super chat, perhaps. Could be. Or it is Minna, and she's really trying to push the whole, no, my nephew was definitely playing yesterday when I lost 3 in a row against Flex, decisively, embarrassingly, and I don't know. I mean, you can let me know in the chat, actually. Maybe that needs a poll. Who is Minna's nephew? Is it Minna, or is it someone else? Or is it legitimately Minna's nephew? I mean, I guess there's 3 options, perhaps. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it's Minna. I feel like it's Minna doing damage control, to be honest with you. That's what I kind of feel like this super chat is. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see. But be sure to smash the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Again, if you are just joining us, because I know people will be filing in going, hey, what's going on this? What's going on here? What's going on here? The news is that an agreement between Manchester United and Newcastle United for Dan Ashworth coming as the sporting director could be agreed as soon as next week, according to reports from Mail Sport. And I mean, what more needs to be said? As I mentioned, it's incredibly positive news, and it's the right steps. That was kind of the concern that I had, and that was the thing that I was most excited by, and that was kind of my thing I was sort of saying after the Omar Barada appointment was confirmed, was, okay, that's step one, but there's still several steps to go. Yes, you've got, I mean, there appears, you can see the vision of a structure appearing, can't you? On the football side of things at Manchester United. You've got Jim Ratcliffe, you've got Sir Dave Brailsford, you've still got Jean-Claude Blanc. People forget that. He is still involved in all of that as well. He's still involved there. He's just the CEO of Ineos Sport as opposed to being the CEO of Manchester United. But I believe he's on the board of directors. So to say that he won't have an influence, of course he will have an influence still. So you've got the Ineos triad, if you will, there. You've got Ratcliffe, Brailsford, Jean-Claude Blanc. You've then got this new chief executive in Omar Barada from Manchester City. You've then got Dan Ashworth coming in, seemingly, as a sporting director. Now, I don't think it stops there. I don't think the appointments, as the report mentions, the appointments don't stop there. I think the likely next step would be a head of recruitment, or someone that would be maybe a step down, that would report in to Dan Ashworth. There had been links to the person from Brighton earlier on this morning as well. So you could be looking at that too. So I still think there are appointments to go. But the fact that some of these appointments are happening or nearly done before everything's even been ratified, I think is really positive news. Because when you're planning for the summer, when you're doing a summer transfer window, it's kind of like what Jurgen Klopp said recently. And he was talking about, his decision to leave Liverpool, and obviously the, lack of energy and planning and all that. And when you're in this stage of the season right now, when you're in February, or even go back a bit further back, when you're in like November, October, you're already planning for next season. You're already planning for the next summer transfer window, particularly with how the winter transfer window has played itself out this season. It's going to be interesting to see if that happens again next season, that financial fair play and the PSR rules have kind of nullified the winter transfer window. So they're already thinking ahead. You're already thinking about, okay, what's our strategy for the summer? What are we going to do in the summer? Who are we going to purchase? Who are we going to sell? What's our even longer term strategy? What's our thought process when it comes to the academy? Where do we want to be in 4 or 5 years? What competitions do we want to be winning? What kind of players do we want to be recruiting? Where do we want to be sending our scouts? What kind of, profile of player are we looking for? And that's all in connection with the sporting director. Well, it starts from obviously the CEO, into the sporting director, into the head of recruitment, and also the manager. And those decisions they can't be made until that proper structure is in place first. And that planning, really, if you're effective, would have started months ago, let alone right now. So these appointments have to be made fairly quickly. And I guess if you're going to have a really successful summer with the lack of time that we do have, the people that are coming in, they're going to have to be the best in class anyway, just because they should. It's Man United after all, but they should be the best in class because it's like the job you've got on your hands. The job you have on your hands right now is astronomical. Not only do you have a short amount of time when it pertains to the summer, not only do you have a playing squad that's on massive wages, and a lot of them don't deserve to be, and it means it's difficult to get rid of them. Not only do you have to navigate with financial fair play and PSR and all that kind of stuff, you're also then dealing with a club that hasn't really done anything for a decade in terms of proper success. Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues. Yes, we've won a Carabao Cup. Yes, we've won an FA Cup. Yes, we won the Europa League under Jose. But we've really not done anything of substance in the standards of Manchester United in the past, certainly. So you've got to try and fix all of that. You've got to try and unpick over a decade's worth of mismanagement. Can you do that? Or at least can you start to unpick some of that in the more immediate future in the summer? And can you unpick that over the long term? And it's not just one person that can do it as well. It's not just one person that can come in. Dan Ashworth coming in by himself is not going to resolve all of Manchester United's problems. We're not suddenly just going to be this incredibly efficient club. It's everyone. It's the entire structure. It is the CEO. It is the sporting director. It is the head of recruitment. It is the owners. It's the manager. It's the players. All of that kind of stuff has to come together in synergy. And I suppose the key thing is that as long as if people aren't in the right place, or the right people aren't in the right place as well, then like a house of cards, it will just fall. So you've got to build it up with the right people, with the right appointments. And certainly, I don't think you can criticize Dan Ashworth's CV. I mean, I was watching something on social media earlier today, and they were kind of just talking about his CV and his career and what he had, what he's achieved. And it's a fascinating career that he's had. I mean, his real breakthrough was at West Brom, and he was one of the sort of first sort of sporting directors that was kind of used in England, because at the time, obviously Europe has been using their sort of sporting director of football model for a long time. But you know what we're like over here? No. We can't change. We won't change. And West Brom were one of the first people to do it. Joined them when they were in the Championship. And a few bumps along the way, but they got promoted the same year that Newcastle won it. I think under Chris Hughton. So it's around sort of 2010, around that time. They finished second in the Championship. They got promoted. And then that's the West Brom team that for a couple of years in a row finished mid-table in the Premier League. Mid-table. West Brom. Under Steve Clarke, I think it was the head coach at the time. And Dan Ashworth was instrumental during that period of time. They were saying that he implemented this kind of room at the West Brom training ground called the Shire, where it was basically a room filled with these, monitors, and they were watching games and players all around the world at all of these different times. And also was really instrumental in putting together a strong academy there, brought through players from the academy into the first team as well. And for a period of time, West Brom, for West Brom standards, mid-table in the Premier League, not bad going as well. Then, of course, went to the FA, worked with England for several years, worked closely with Gareth Southgate, implemented the likes of, they were saying, brought in under 15s teams, under 18s, under 21s as well. Obviously, has worked with a ton of the big England players that you think about today: Sterling, Foden, Grealish. I know he was of Ireland, but Grealish. I mean, any Rashford, any sort of big England player you can think of. Dan Ashworth had worked with them along the way too. Then, of course, goes to Brighton. I mean, and just look at some of the players that he signed during his time at Brighton, whether it's Caicedo, Matoma, and the sales, of course, is why he bought Cucurella, sold Cucurella, whether it's Ben White selling him to Arsenal, bought Lamptey for like 4 million or something. I mean, it's the record speaks for itself, doesn't it? The record really does speak for itself at Brighton. And then moves to Newcastle, and we're still very involved with Newcastle and the players they brought in, Bruno Guimaraes, Anthony Gordon, Isak, Tonali. That one hasn't worked out, obviously. But the point being is, big signings, Botman at centre-back too. So his record in terms of recruitment and more recent history and development of players as well really does speak for itself. And Ineos certainly feel that that they're getting what they perceive to be the best in class. I think it was The Athletic, wrote a piece, and it's the Everton director of football, sporting director, says that he's the best sporting director the country's ever produced. Now, that's pretty high praise, you know. I don't. Does that mean he's the best sporting director in the world? I don't know. But certainly in the Premier League, in English football, his record speaks for itself. Now, just because he's done it at the FA, just because he's done it at Brighton, just because he's done it at Newcastle, does that mean he's going to do it at Manchester United? Of course not. You know, Manchester United, as we know, it's a different beast in terms of the expectation, in terms of the perception, in terms of the politics, because my word, the hierarchy at Old Trafford is a political beast, isn't it? I mean, just look at, you know, what he's walking into with Jim Ratcliffe. He owns 25%, but how much control does he have? Oh, it's sporting control, it's football control. Actually, it's a bit more business control as well. The Glazers are taking a back seat, but they're still majority owners. What does this kind of look like? So he's walking into that, you know, political mess at United, certainly. And one of the biggest and most difficult jobs he'll have at United, if indeed this agreement is sorted out next week, will be managing the perception when you're in negotiations. We've heard, haven't we? We've heard the stories from various different outlets about when Manchester United come to the table to negotiate for a player, the teams just rub their hands and go, we're going to get money. We're going to get money. These guys don't know how to negotiate. We'll threaten to walk away and they'll just give us more money. And that we'll know if you're an agent and my player's on 20k here, we'll ask for 200. They'll give it us because they don't know what they're doing. So he's going to have to manage that perception. He's going to have some tough negotiations, maybe, with some clubs for over players where they say, we know you've got loads of money. And he goes, I don't care if you know that we've got loads of money. This is our price. We'll walk away. And we're comfortable walking away because we've already got 3 or 4 more targets that will replace that player. But you're not indispensable to us. Okay? We want to bring you in. We believe in your talent. We believe in your ability. Here's how much we're willing to pay. But if you're going to mess us around, we've already got 3 or 4 targets. We've done our due diligence. We've got the best recruitment setup in the world. Now, if we said that now in negotiations, we've got the best recruitment department in the world, they'd scoff, they'd laugh, they'd walk away because they know we'd be lying. Yes, we're bullshitting you. John Murto's still in Spain, eating tapas, going after Frankie de Jong. Or he's still in Turin, having talks with Rabiot's mum, right? So we've been embarrassed and humiliated several times. But still, that's going to be a challenge that he has too. So his recruitment CV, if you will, speaks for itself. It's more than just that. Obviously, sporting director too. It's everything. It's the sporting project at the club. It's how does he marry up the academy with the first team? How does he marry up everything? How does it all feed together? How does he marry up the vision of how the club wants to play, how they want to operate, and how does that trickle down into everything? And the manager's critical in that as well. And as I said, when it comes to Omar Barada, I am sure that, the suggestion is that informal talks have taken place between United and Ashworth, but still, Still, it's going to be a big job. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a massive job, and he's got a lot to unpick when he comes in, no doubt about it. A couple of other things as well, because this is always the beauty of being live. Stuff happens. Stuff comes out. So once again, coming from this report from Craig Hope, Newcastle, as I mentioned earlier on, are reportedly demanding compensation of more than £6 million for Dan Ashworth and insisting on a notice period of up to a year, which again, that's an interesting part. Because I mentioned this earlier on, when it came to the gardening leave or how long they would possibly wait for him. There had been those reports of he might not be able to start until 2025 or something like that. And I still push back on that, to be honest with you, about a being on garden leave, or if this report is accurate, saying, oh, they're insisting on a notice period of up to a year. For me, I would look at it as maybe it's Newcastle asking for maybe a little bit more money, you know. Well, our offer, if you want to get him, £6 million and a notice period of up to a year. Okay, what if we offered you 8? What if we offered you 10? Would that change your mind? Because it would. You know, for all of the money that Newcastle got, from an FFP perspective, they could certainly use some incomings, couldn't they? Right? So that latter part of it, I look at that as just a negotiating tactic. I'd be surprised if it was, because it's illogical, isn't it, as well? Well, we want to act fast, we want to act swift, we want to get these people in, and we've got to get other appointments going. Okay, you've got this guy. Okay, when does he start? Next year. Next year. So I kind of don't think that part will happen. But hey, you never know. We're already negotiating, I suppose, as well. It continues by saying Dan Ashworth would have much more control at Manchester United than Newcastle. There is also the lure of a higher salary, being closer to home, and above all, being the man tasked with turning around the biggest club in the world. And that is a part of it as well. That is also something I was talking about this morning too. That was going to be a task that Ineos, Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford would have to deal with. Can they sell the project? Can they go to these people, and it'll be the same when we go after players in the summer, can they go to these people, can they sell them the project? And the project is, do you want to be historic? Do you want to be part of the group that turned Man United around? Because if you are, you write yourself a blank check. You know, it's the same way we talk about the manager, whoever the manager is, to win a league title post Sir Alex Ferguson. They'll never be forgotten. If Dan Ashworth comes in and does a madness in the transfer window, or helps Manchester United turn into this incredible negotiating recruitment force, they'll be like, Dan Ashworth, best in England, best in the world. No one can touch him. He's incredible. And it's the project, Omar Barada. You look at Omar Barada, and he's being you look at the work he's doing at City and the team that he's surrounded by, the people he's surrounded by as well. You look at, again, talk about some of the best in class. Now, obviously, 115 charges aside, but you say, right, you're here. They win all the time. You have the best team in the league. You have had the best team in the league for like half a decade at this point. You've won the treble. You've won the Champions League. Now, do you want to stay where you are and probably still be well compensated and be part of a structure, and maybe in several years' time become the top guy, become the chief executive of Manchester City? Or do you want to take the challenge and go to a bigger club? I know it's the local rivals, but the bigger club in a bigger role and turn it around. Do you back yourself? Do you think you have that ability to do that? And he said yes. And it's the same with Dan Ashworth. Do you think you could stay where you are now? And look, the Newcastle project is a very exciting project. This is a very big project. And let's be honest, once Newcastle really do increase their revenues, they're going to have a lot of money to spend. I've got the richest owners in football. Or do you want to go to the biggest club in the world? Do you want a real challenge? Do you want to really turn things around? And look, he's got a good relationship with Sir Dave Brailsford too. Do you want to work with him? He's selling you the dream. And it looks like it's certainly yes. Also in this report, it says that Dan Ashworth is not a talent scout. He supervises recruitment, negotiates and closes deals. At Newcastle, he worked to reorganise the recruitment network from the academy to the first team, both nationally and internationally. And that is kind of my point I was making earlier as well, suggesting that it's the negotiations as well. He negotiates and closes deals. And that is the part where historically, over the last decade, as I mentioned, Manchester United have been laughed at when it comes to negotiating and closing deals. Deals have fallen apart, or they spiral out of control when it comes to costs. When we negotiate wages for players, they just, again, spiral out of control. We can't get rid of players because we're not good at negotiating them coming in the first place and then leaving eventually as well. So he would supervise that entire recruitment process, identifying players, I guess, as I mentioned earlier on, ahead of recruitment, feeding into him, setting up these scouting networks and just the entire recruitment structure, which needs massive overhaul at Manchester United. And when push comes to shove, when we need to negotiate, when we need to close a deal, that's when he steps in. And sorry to John Murtough, but some of his, we talked about how impressive Dan Ashworth's record is when it comes to his transfers over the years. Look at John's over the last couple of years at Manchester United, particularly with cost and particularly with saga. The sagas have been just nuts, haven't they? Couple of super chats here. Let me get to these as well. Amanor says, Owen, Dan Ashworth's biggest job is to implement style of play. I don't know if that's his biggest job. I would argue that that's probably from the coach, and it's a coach's job to implement it. I mean, it's Dan Ashworth's job. If he's supervising recruitment, it's Dan Ashworth's job to work with the manager, whoever the manager is, and say, what is your style of play? How do you want the club? How do you want the first team to play? How do you want them to operate? And he goes, I want them to operate this way. And he goes, right, I've got to find players that suit that. I've got to find players that will work in your system. I've got to work with you and find players together, and you can say yes or no to these players. But I don't think it's his job to implement a style of play. It's his job to go find players that suit the manager's play, all the way from first team to reserves to under, I don't know, however low you want to go in terms of the age groups. But I don't think that's Dan Ashworth's job. Dan Ashworth isn't standing on the touchline. Like they're saying, he's overseeing recruitment. He's overseeing sporting strategy. So to actually implement it, I think, again, that's a collaborative work with the head coach. Josh Wearing's been a member for 19 months. Says, I wonder if our January transfer budget was impacted by Ineos knowing we would get Dan Ashworth. I don't think so. I think our January transfer budget was impacted by our incredibly reckless spending over the last however many years and our inability to sell people. Our January transfer budget was zero. To be honest, it was probably negative numbers, and we managed to maybe get it to zero or close to by getting players off the books, whether they be loans or whether they be just getting people out the door. Because we just got nothing. We've got no money to spend. Not in terms of, technically we could spend it, obviously, but our credit is nearly run out. Our FFP, we are walking the edge of a razor blade when it comes to our financial fair play and profit and PSR situation. And even come the summer, obviously we'll have money to spend, but it still will be, we've got to get players out the door. And that also, as I mentioned, that's going to involve Dan Ashworth as well. And it's going to involve that whole recruitment department. Recruitment's not just about bringing people in football. It's also about getting people out the door as well. And that's going to be, for me, certainly, that's going to be something that I judge him on as well too. Because we have seen, people in this role, whether it be Ed Woodward, whether it be John Murtough, we have seen them bring players in. If you look at the last decade at Manchester United, it's not as if we haven't brought players in. We haven't brought the right players in. And then when they do go, we don't get rid of them for anything. It's either free transfer. And at the end of their contract, we don't go, well, look, we got everything we wanted out of them. We just go, actually, this guy probably should have gone 2 or 3 years ago. But, we couldn't get rid of them because they won too much money and they weren't worth anything. So we kind of had just to see out their contract and let them go on a free. And that was about it. So I'd be looking at that. If come the summer, there are a couple of big names, big Man United names. I say big, but players that you go, actually, I didn't think they would actually leave, and they go for decent money. Then I'd go, whoa, things actually are seriously changing. If Man United too operate early in the transfer market, if we bring 2 or 3 players in, and it's, I don't know, early July, I'd go, I tell you what, that's not bad going. Because what are we used to? I mean, look at this past season. Look at the year before as well. players missing the start of the season through injury or being brought in too late. We all know when United go on tour, and for the last couple of seasons, how many players have we brought on tour with us? Is it one? Is it like one player? Was it Malacia the year before last? And I think Mason Mount this time around. Onana joined up with them, I suppose. But a lot of the times, it's people joining up either the season's already started or it's right before the start of the season, so they haven't had a pre-season. Then we have the conversation of, wow, it's going to take a while for this person to settle in. They haven't had a pre-season. They haven't been with the team for quite some time. It's all so disjointed, isn't it? And then the pushback on it is they go, well, tough negotiations. That's what it is. Tough negotiations, very difficult. And it's like, no, if you're good at your job, you can identify that target early. You can have strong negotiations for them. You can not pay over the odds because it's Man United. And any player, when Man United come knocking, should be like, yes, 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 I want to go to Man United. And United should use that as leverage. Be like, yeah, okay. And if the clubs, as I mentioned earlier on, if the clubs don't play ball, we've already got 3 or 4 alternatives where we can turn to and say, hey, we'll just go to this person. And I don't like to use Manchester City as an example, but when it comes to recruitment, certainly, it really, you watch them and you don't hear about them because who gives a shit about Man City, but you also just don't hear. You just go, someone leaves, and then like a week later, it's like, this person's coming in. Done. That was quick. Yeah. And they work out. Yep, it works. Cool. No problem. Because they've already got the list. They're already ready. And if they don't get someone, for whatever reason, the signing that the person they're negotiating with doesn't work out, they move on very quickly to another target. Okay, we'll go for this person. Fine, no problem. Done. So it's certainly big news. Absolutely. We've got nearly 750 people watching. Less than 200 likes, by the way, guys. So if you haven't already, click that like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner. We can get to... we get 250. We can get to 250. Surely we can. Surely we can.
You can do it.
I believe. Wow. I might as well click that button then, mightn't I? I've got so many sounds in here. To find them is just the biggest pain in the ass. Where is it? Oh, it's here. Please. I've got like 4 pages. I've got UV sounds. I've got one that's a dedicated Chris Eubank page. I don't know why.
Oh, sorry.
That's got one. I've got my wrestling page, which I don't use that much here. Some of them do transfer over.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
You can do a couple of them. You can do those ones, or you go who we get to Omar Barada.
What?
Dan Ashworth.
What?
And then name else. You can keep going for whoever you want for all the other ones. Elise.
What?
Neto.
What?
And keep going. Mbappe.
What?
That one's not going to happen as well. But you can keep going with them. And then I've got the lead judges page as well, which you could just...
Done okay.
I mean, those ones. The lead judges ones, I don't know how many of them you can play in a row. I mean, monetization, the judge will ruin monetization fairly quick, to be honest with you. Yeah. Am I caught up? What is this story, by the way? I don't know have you guys seen this? I'm really off the rails at this point. I've really diverted. Have you seen the story? I think it's from the Mirror, suggesting that Wayne Rooney could be fighting on Misfits, maybe against like KSI or something like that. Wayne, you don't need it. You don't need to, Wayne. Why? You're fine. Surely not. I mean, I know he's a boxing fan, and there was a video of him with Bardsley, wasn't there, in his room. Then he scored it came out in the papers, and then he scored the next day, and he did the celebration, didn't he? But I don't know. Well. Get your sirens in the chat, folks. Get your sirens in the chat. We have breaking news. I need a breaking news sound for my soundboard. I need it because, as I mentioned earlier on, for all of you single guys out there and girls, it's Valentine's Day, yeah? So what do you do on Valentine's Day when you're on your own or in a relationship? Depends, it's up to you. Log on to Pornhub because David Ornstein has tweeted. Yes, David Ornstein has tweeted. This has just come out in the last couple of minutes. This is what's fun about being live, because he is reporting Dan Ashworth has informed Newcastle United that he has been approached by Manchester United in relation to the sporting director position at Old Trafford. The Athletic reported on Tuesday that Manchester United have made Ashworth their top target, with the situation expected to develop rapidly, and indeed it is. Formal contact is yet to take place between the clubs, although that is anticipated soon, and the 52-year-old is said to be open to the opportunity. The matter is complicated by Ashworth being under contract on Tyneside, and that makes it likely Manchester United would need to pay significant compensation to secure his services. Ashworth joined Newcastle United after resigning from his post as technical director at Brighton and Hove Albion in February 2022, then serving 3 months of gardening leave. He moved to Brighton in 2019 following a spell as the technical director at the Football Association, where he started in 2012 and played a key role in the development of the men's and women's national teams. Ashworth has generated a strong reputation in areas such as player recruitment and building of high-performance structures, which would be important remits if this potential switch happens. It would come against the backdrop of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, chairman and founder of the petrochemical company Ineos, agreeing a deal to purchase a 25% stake in the Premier League side from the Glazer family. This is just kind of background stuff, isn't it, really? That deal has been approved by the Premier League and the FA, but is still contingent upon the closure of the tender offer by the end of the week. And then it goes on to say about Omar Barada, etc. But the real key thing there, the key important stuff, is that Dan Ashworth now, and this is how quickly things are moving. I mentioned it this morning. This morning, there was no formal offer. There has been no talks, maybe some very informal light talks. Then it comes to Dan Ashworth, he wants to leave. Then it comes to Dan Ashworth and Manchester United and Newcastle, and agreement's expected next week. Then it comes to Dan Ashworth has informed Newcastle United he's been approached by Manchester United in relation to the sporting director position at Old Trafford. And they're saying, again, formal contact is yet to take place between the clubs, although that is anticipated soon, and the 52-year-old is said to be open to the opportunity. So he's told Newcastle, hey, they've approached me, and I'm open to the opportunity. And I suppose the next thing is, as was reported a few minutes ago, about compensation, what that would look like, what the package would look like, any gardening leave and what have you, what all of that kind of situation would look like. But this is significant developments. Like I said this morning, things are moving fast, and I think we've got to get used to that. We have to get used to, and it's exciting. I want to get used to it, by the way. That when the links come out that we are going after someone, expect developments within like 48 hours, maybe even less, that it's happening, or like an approach is coming, because that's how quickly they've operated thus far. Omar Barada, boom, that wasn't even links, that just came out. that was a proper Ornstein siren, wasn't it? Man United are getting Omar Barada. Everyone went, who, what, where, when, why, what? And it happened. This one, in fairness, Dan Ashworth has been linked to Manchester United for quite some time. So the desire to pick him up has been there for ages, really. But in terms of the tangible, United are preparing an offer. United are going to make an approach. United really, really want him. This is coming soon. It's been, a day? A couple of days? That's it. And now it's already escalated to an agreement could be in place next week. It's already escalated to Dan Ashworth going to Newcastle going, yeah, I've been approached. And I guess it's just a case of now, really, Newcastle setting their expectations or setting their demands. What do they do? What's their reaction? Do they say to Dan Ashworth, thanks for letting us know, but tough shit, you're under contract, you're not going anywhere? Do they say, we really don't want you to go, so if you are going to go, these are the terms that we're going to accept? Do they go to Manchester United and cuss them out? Stop talking to our people? Stop trying to ruin our projects? All that kind of stuff? What do they do? Because the suggestion previously was 6 million and a year. Was it a year's notice? Don't you have to have tenure in that? I mean, I suppose, look, whatever's written into his contract, because you can have written into your contract, I guess, however long notice is. Sometimes it's done by service, sometimes it's just written in, depending on if you're super senior, because they don't want to lose big senior executives, I suppose. But it'd be interesting to know if that's actually written into his contract. If it's written into his contract, you have to give us a year's notice. Then United will have to pay over the odds. They're going to have to pay over the odds anyway. He hasn't been there very long. He's only been there since 2022. So it's going to be significant compensation. Like I said earlier on, for me, I think that whole, oh, wow, he wouldn't be able to start until 2025. You realise that seems to me like a bit of a cash grab, to be honest with you. Oh, I'm getting a call from one KG, the comedian. The question is, does he know? Mr. the Comedian, Mr. the Comedian, you are live on United View. Please do not swear.
Effing.
Have you seen the news?
I have. I noticed that he was live, and I thought I got to call you because you've literally become a like an oracle today.
Do you want to know the lottery numbers?
You know what? I do.
Yeah, well, we'll save that for off the air. We'll save that for off.
Thank you, because bloody hell, mate. And this new version of United, United, this United side,
Manchester United side.
This United side, it's mental. Like the speed of stuff.
Yeah.
You hear about it yesterday, done today.
Yeah.
Like as a United fan, this is why I was just calling in to just like drop my little 2 pence in.
Go ahead.
But this is mental, like how we're operating in the market, like, and this is not the transfer market, obviously, but just the structure. Like we said, we've been sounding this guy out. We said he's our only interest, and now like he's our main target and only target, and we brought him in.
Yeah.
See, Omar, this guy, impressive.
Mm-hmm. Impressive.
Best in class. And you know what's good? It's the Salford and Toke sport. They're already trying to work out a way of how this could have been a good appointment or how it might not work. And it's like, guys, just credit us for doing a good job. Just all you got to say is, you know what, looks like something's going on over there. And we have to, I don't know if the uncomfortable conversation has to come up, but I think we might be wrong about Sir Jim in terms of what he's bringing to United.
Well, I think the pushback with him was always just it was how much of United he was getting, wasn't it? Obviously, fans wanted the Glazers gone. That's what they wanted. And I suppose, look, some people got, brainwashed by the Qatari wealth, and they looked at that and thought, oh, God.
I was on that. I was on that list.
And I get that. But then it got silly, didn't it? Because, for instance, this notion that Jim Ratcliffe is not a wealthy man is the biggest pile of bullshit. He's literally Britain's wealthiest man. With the tender thing, they went, how much like money have you got? And they went, liquid right now, excess of £4 billion. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Wait, you wouldn't even be able to invite me to the show, would you be?
I can.
I'm coming on. I think it's the best way.
You coming on?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. All right. KG's coming on, folks. I'll send you the... Well, this is what happens. KG's coming on. KG's making executive producer decisions. Right, this is what I can do. I've got to find the right thing. Well, if he's smart, he would go to the right link. But this is KG we're talking about. So anything could happen. I've got to get in here and do this and do this and do this. There you go. Right, I'm in there. Then I've got to send KG this link. Talk amongst yourselves, folks. Yeah. Talk amongst yourselves. Then I've got to log in here and send him this link. What's funny actually with this is a real peek behind the curtain. Is it's the same link. It's always the same link, but I have to send it to KG over and over and over again. News. There you go. Boom. I've sent that to him. Let's see. I suppose let's see if how quickly KG jumps in. That's the question. Then I move that to here, and I move that one here. Oh, boom. Then we set up this way, like that, and then that one. I do this. I take that off because he won't be on that, and then I move on to Yeah. As I mentioned, this is KG the comedian. This is what he does. He just goes, I'm coming on. This is what I'm doing. So I'm going to disappear for 2 seconds, and then I'll be back. I'm back. That's how quickly it was. It was less than 2 seconds. Boom. Like that. Now, when KG comes in, he should come in perfectly. I tell you what, I'll give myself a pat on the back there. That was smooth. That was smooth. So KG's on the way. Manny says you're gone 4 hours, and it was a really long time. I apologize for that. Sorry about that. Sorry. So as we anticipate the arrival of one KG the comedian, be sure to smash a like on the like button and subscribe to bottom right hand corner. I need to break my microphone there as well. Let's see what else people are saying here in the chat whilst we wait for one. Kevin Gary. So what we got here? Josh Burns says, "Does Owen smell what Sir Jim is cooking?" Oh, I had a conversation with KG earlier today. Actually, someone said when KG called in there a second ago, "Have you squashed your beef?" I was actually surprised. There's no beef with me and KG. I thought he would be quite bitter about the Flex and KG intro from the other day, yesterday, and he wasn't. Surprisingly, he wasn't upset. Oh, got mad echo, KG. Yeah. Oh, no, I think it's sorted now. I'll bring you in. Okay, I think it's sorted now. And just like that, a rogue KG the comedian should rapidly appear. There you go. And there he is.
Hey, I'm in the show. What's going on, Owen?
I'm good. You said you were on the phone and you said, "Look, no, I've got to show up.
Yeah,
I've got to speak."
It felt like this is the kind of news that, two people show. I felt pull up and, just chat to you about it because this is good. This is like I want to say kind of monumental on some type of level. It actually is monumental. Let's have it right. This guy has been at he's at Newcastle. They said that he wouldn't want to leave this club because of the project. He's leaving I would like to say kind of somewhat unlimited funds. Yes, they just can't spend all the funds, but he's like when they do work it out and they, the books are balanced, they can do whatever they want. They will be a potential Man City. But then it just goes for the draw. Man, even though Man City, Newcastle, all these clubs, we're the heritage club. Like, we are the club that, like it or not, when we move, it's the pool is there. And guess what? They know it's like, I want to be a part of this thing because it's the biggest club in the world. It's one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yes, Real Madrid, I understand. We know what they are. But let's not play around and act like we're not Man United and how special this club is. And now bringing in a guy that has, linked with Matoma, linked with Casado, linked with some of the big signings that they done at even with the Gordon deal.
Gordon, Isak, you're also looking at Bruno Guimaraes. You're looking at, obviously, even selling players. You're looking at bringing in Cucurella for like 15, selling him for like 60. You're looking at selling Ben White as well, to Arsenal for all that money. His track record, I mean, and I was saying earlier on in the show, if you want to go far back to his time at West Brom, when he was at West Brom, came in there, they got promoted. And you remember when West Brom were like a mid-table Premier League club finishing 10th? That was under the Dan Ashworth years. He was involved in that as well. So everywhere that he's been in the last, that's like 15 years, he's been successful. And as much as we slag off England, and I know I do, Gareth Southgate and all that kind of stuff, there's no doubt that like the pool of players that are currently available to England, it's one of the best generations that I've ever experienced, and that comes from him overseeing, the young teams into the men's and women's teams. It's pretty incredible to see. Like, I think it was the Everton director of football said he's the best sporting director the country's ever produced. That's what he said.
That's top praise. That is top praise. I saw that message. I thought, bloody hell, we're finally getting again. And they said the same wonderful words when it comes to Omar and his what his time at Man City has been like. So now you're saying at the top, this is what we've had before. We had Mr. Woodward and Murto, yeah, and I think Arnold as well. These are the people that
Matt
we've
Judge.
been having run this club. Matt Judge. It's been like, and I don't want to be disrespectful to them, but they weren't the best in class. And they were just stepping up. These guys were getting promoted. They've always been there. When you look at pictures of Woodward, Murto and those guys, they've always been here. They've never gone, they've just sidestepped or gone up. And you think, why are you guys getting promoted when the club is not doing well? Like the fact that you guys are stepping into the ball, like you're getting a bigger piece of the pie, is confusing. As soon as our new guy stepped in terms of Brailsford and Ratcliffe, the likes, as soon as they stepped in there, they said, we have to fix this. If you notice as well, they've even, the medical department, they're culling that. They're making sure we're bringing in the best.
They took Arsenal. Well, that was, I mean, it kind of predates Ratcliffe and Brailsford being in, but Manchester United in general looked at Arsenal's doctor and said, look, let's get him. And they said to Arsenal's doctor, that doctor, once he came in, said, that medical department, yeah, it's rubbish. Let's just scrap it. Start again. We got to do an audit. We got to fix it.
To get ready because I think the chief physio guy, he lost his, like a lot of people are losing their job. A lot of people now. These are the things that we're talking about for change. You know, Man United's a big club, but what's been lacking is no one's cared about and Brailsford is one of those marginal gain guys who's gonna, as I said, they done it breakdown on everything in this club.
Yeah,
literally everything.
There you go.
A super audit, and now thumbs up for the audit. And what you're getting now is what you're getting now is a team that is like, I would say there's just a locked in element to these guys, and it kind of makes you excited about what the summer can potentially look like. And that's not for big signings. That's just for a club doing what they need to do to be viable. A club that's needs to do what to be, let's somewhat say, just run properly. That's what we need. We need to be run smoothly.
You have those conversations. I know that you have them because I have them as well with my mates. You know, and they're like they're fans of whoever, like Chelsea or Liverpool or Arsenal or whoever, and they go like, so like, what actually happens at United? Because they'll see like these numbers of how much we've spent and all this kind of stuff, and they go like, how does that even run? Like Man United are a mess, and you have to explain to me. Go, no, it's whatever you think it is. It's worse than what you think it is. That's how badly Manchester United are run. And they go like, what, really? And you go, yeah. And because then from an opposition fan's point of view, they can't believe it because they still see United like we do when we go biggest club in the world, won all the Premier League titles, Champions Leagues and what have you. And they go, so that's how you operate. Seriously, those people, and they go like, so Richard Arnold, like, what's he ever done? You go, wow, he's just a business guy, came up through the club. They go, right. And they go like John Murtough, they go, what's he done? He go, wow, he was at Everton for a bit and then sort of come through the club. And they go, right. So, you know, and before that, did you ever have like a director of football? No, not really. And they go, really. And like you say, it's very apparent that Jim Ratcliffe to Dave Brailsford have come in and just gone, there's no wonder you haven't done anything. The way you operate is awful. You know, and the interesting reports when they've gone like, they've already gone to the Glazers and said, yeah, we're in control of football operations, but you realize for football operations to be really successful, we kind of have to have a bit of oversight on the business things as well. And they've gone, okay, because they know, because they're like, they don't want to do anything, do they? They don't want to do anything. Yep. So they're just going, okay, then do it. And
this is good though. This is brilliant for us because while they've only got 25%, they're giving up a lot now because a lot of the people that are really running the club right now are the guys. Like this club is going to go in the journey or the direction of the way Sir Jim wants it to go in, even though the Glazers have they're running like they own the club, right? But then let's have it right. It's not like it's the Glazers guy. This is Sir Jim's guy as the CEO. On the board, Blanc's in there. It's another Sir Jim's guy. Now you're bringing in Dan Ashworth. He's another Sir Jim guy. Now, one thing that does scare me a little bit is the Graham Potter effect now, because the team is almost back together. And there's one, I know like they're missing Infinity Stone, yeah, but there's like ever so more. Like when I think about him, like you can't write out Graham Potter not being a part of this picture anymore, because before the structure that they created was, this is the Brighton structure almost. Brighton's the one that if any club has done well with players and selling players on, it has been Brighton, but Potter was there on that one. And it just feels like he's just waiting in the wings, because anytime they want their guy, oh, guess what? Their guy comes in. And that's why this is the biggest, and this is a huge moment for Eric Ten Hag. It's huge. Like
I was going to say,
this,
are you saying informal talks might have taken place between Graham Potter and Brailsford and Ashworth? Do you reckon they've had the little chat of going, you know, maybe in the summer, or just maybe that kind of Graham's going, oh, I'm getting a couple of offers, and they go, maybe you don't take him till the summer.
I think, yeah, I think I think there must have been a conversation with Potter. I'm not going to lie to you. I think there's, at least as a minimum, just saying, sound them out and saying, look, like, don't make any quick decisions about your future. I could imagine someone saying that to him, saying, look, Graham, like, I know Chelsea wasn't, but we wasn't at Chelsea. You know, like that, one of those kind of conversations where saying, look, we got the team, we got time, we got the patience, but then again, I believe Ten Hag deserves time. I believe that hopefully he passes this audition, because that's what it really is. As they said, it's an audition, but they are like, with the way they've moved right now, look how they just sneaked Omar out. I've never seen anything like that in my life. That was incredible. And then in this Dan one, it went quiet and they just done the business. And then
well, yeah, it's like last night. Last night it was like, yeah, there are links, or there's expected to be an approach. This morning it was, yep, he wants to leave. Then this evening he's gone to Newcastle and said, yeah, I've been approached, and there's an agreement could be in place by next week. I mean, it's that fast. And to your point about the Brighton part of it, Rob Dawson did say this morning that Dan Ashworth is set to have an influence over appointments within the recruitment department at Manchester United. He is a big admirer of Sam Jewell, who is the head of recruitment at Brighton as well. So as you mentioned, they might view it as getting the team back together. And then we said this about Omar Barada, didn't we? That when you're having those conversations, so when Brailsford's having that initial chat and Jim Ratcliffe's having that chat with Omar Barada, and the same with Dan Ashworth, there's no way that Eric Ten Hag's name doesn't get brought up. Of course he gets brought up. What do you think of Eric? Would you be able to work with him? Do you think we could do better? Like, what do you think of him? What do you think of his style of play? Do you think we can adapt that? Like that conversation has to happen. There's no way it hasn't happened. So that's when I agree with you when you're saying that. Like either, I don't know, maybe they don't know if they've talked to Graham Potter, but I'm just saying, like, they've had those talks. Of course they have had those talks. What do you think of Eric? That's been the question. Of course it's been that. Of course it's been asked.
Yeah, you know, but and it's mental though, because if you're looking at quality and a manager, you have to see that Eric does have quality. You do have to. There is quality there. Like, if any manager worth is, especially if you follow the game and you understand it, you look at him and say, look, I understand what he's trying to do. With those kind of minds in the club, you think, you get what he wants to do. Has he picked the right players to do it? Probably not. Has he got the right tools for the job? Probably not. This is where we come in, but they have to see there is some quality there. How he speaks in the media does well. In terms of, when I know people talk about throwing players under the bus, but very rarely backs these players, backed Martial beyond measure, back to like Weghorst and all these other guys, like players that probably didn't even deserve backing, he's come out and spoken for. So I feel that hopefully, I really want to hope that he's done enough to not potentially lose his position. You know, I hope that he's impressed, but then results matter. And that's why, like, top four, like, will put him in the strongest position, because it might not even be Graham. It could be another guy. This is how mad this thing has been, where quite a few names have probably been sounded out. You know, and then they're probably someone that you wouldn't even imagine, think, how have we got this manager that's actually got a club already? You know?
And it is weird, because And like you said, a good measure of all of this is sometimes it's almost the negative reaction that people have. And what I mean by that is, so what we have seen thus far from Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos,
Yes.
you can't describe it as anything but
Ineos.
positive, can you? You can't. Like they've appointed a CEO that we've gone, when you look at his CV, you go, bloody hell, like we didn't think that was going to happen. And they go, well, yeah, what about Jean-Claude Blanc? He's still on the board of directors. Oh, so he's still going to be around. Yes. You go, okay, geez. And you go, all right, so who else are you going to get? Are you going to stick with John Murtough? Well, John wants to stay around, but they're going to get Dan Ashworth, and it looks like it's happening very quickly. You go, gee, bloody hell, that's not bad going. They've had meetings with the staff, and there's the people that the staff there at United go, we haven't spoken to in years. We don't even use this room. I don't know what's going on here. And they've gone, how do you measure success? He's gone, we measure success by winning things. And they've looked around and gone, did he say winning? Yeah. Winning stuff, success.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And there now, because remember the initial pushback of it as well is, why would Dan Ashworth want to come to Man United? And then once they got Omar Barada in, they went, if someone wants to leave City to come to United, well, I guess we can get anyone. It doesn't matter. And like I said, the way to judge it is the sort of pushback. People go, so what, so you think Man United are fixed now, do you? You go, no, I don't think Man United are fixed. You go, so you think everything's going to change, do you? And problems are sorted or anything like that. You go, no, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a day.
That's what
they're positive steps, though.
It's still a long project. These when we talk about positive steps, these are super steps. Let's just have it right. We've been wanting structure for the longest time. Man United, the turnover at Man United is incredible. And there's untapped finances that we haven't thought about or done the right things at this club to go and garner and gain. Now, so the club can look after the club's been running itself maybe for 10 years on the finances of success and fans and what's happened in the past. Now you're actually bringing in people that give a damn. People that are going to say, oh, let's do that. Let's do this. This is a smart move. Now we're finally having someone that actually says your job is contracts. You see, when the players get into the last 2 years or 3 years, let's address that. If they're not part of the long-term plan, nobody's walking out of here on a free again. We've had the most people leave this club on a free. It's embarrassing. Yeah, so finally, there's someone at the club, and that's important. What people are missing is, so when you say, hey, is this it? Forget what rival fans think, because they're not Man United fans. They don't know what's going on the ground. For us fans who've watched players go like a bag of players, Bailly didn't get the right amount for him. And we knew he wasn't a long-term solution, but we sent him on 100 loans. Martial didn't get the right amount for him. I don't even know what Chris Smalling left this club for, but we just hurt ourselves over and over again. Now, finally, you've just got focus. You got someone going to our games. You got people that actually give a damn about our success on the pitch. Yeah. This is the part, because you just say how many followers you got. When you do them meetings that they have with, when the dividends are passed out, it's all about social media growth. What the hell is that? That's not what we should be talking about. And you get them sound bites from the meetings. Now, finally, we want to be a force on the pitch again. It's going to take time, but I like how this is going.
Well, the best analogy is this. So we say Man United haven't won a league title in a decade, right? So let's use an example of a person, right? A person used to be incredible shape, KG. Incredible shape. The best physique you've ever seen in your life. Best physique in the world. People go, tell you what, that guy looks great. He's in great shape. He's got muscles in all of the places. I didn't even know I had places. Then for 10 years, he just eats McDonald's every day or fast food. 10 years he does it. And then, turns into, a hybrid of me and KG. Okay. Not much KG nowadays. KG's hitting the gym a lot. Yeah. So it doesn't look great. And he goes, and one day he goes, I want to look good again. I want to look good again. Now, KG, is that going to happen on day one?
Absolutely not, because I'm still going and it hasn't happened.
But the point being is, if to unpick 10 years of it, it's going to take a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. Time. But what you've got
guess to do, what you bought, though? I'm going to help you with this analogy as well. You bought in the top. You bought in the nutritionist.
Yeah.
The nutrition guy.
And the nutritionist. And
you bought in a personal trainer.
Yep.
And you brought in a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And you brought in a I don't know. Do you need someone for sleep? Maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe someone that helps.
And
Yeah, maybe that.
And you brought in the best equipment. And not only have you brought in the nutritionist, you brought in the best food. You know, all this kind of stuff. You bring in all of the people, and even then they say, "Look, it's going to take a bit of time." And then 6 months in, a year in, 2 years in, you go, "I tell you what, I feel great. I'm not there, but I'll look a lot better." You know, because it's going to take time, and that's what it's. And that's the situation with this. That's the situation I'm getting to.
This is also, you know what? We deserve likes for that.
We do deserve likes for that. We got there in the end. Luke Edwards from The Telegraph is also saying, and this is an interesting one, KG, because my predictions, again, they're quite strong today. So we heard this report earlier on suggesting that it was going to cost like 6 million quid to get Dan Ashworth. And Newcastle was saying, hey, we'd want him to be on a garden leave for 12 months. He needs 12 months notice. He can't start at Manchester United until 2025. And people looked at that and they said, wow, that means we can't get him, KG. That means we can't get him if he's going to have to start in 2025. We need someone immediately. And my reaction to it at the time was, I know a negotiation tactic when I see it, okay? Now, Luke Edwards from The Telegraph is saying that Manchester United may need to pay Newcastle more than £10 million for Dan Ashworth. There's also a 12-month gardening leave in Ashworth's contract, and Newcastle will insist the full term is adhered to unless United are willing to pay even more compensation. So as my point said earlier on, yes, it's going to cost a lot of money, but if he's worth it, they'll pay it. And that's what Newcastle, look, Newcastle funds
January money.
Newcastle, they're in fundraising territory at the moment, aren't they, as well? They've got their own FFP, financial fair play and profit and loss situation they need to find out. They've got all this money, but they can't spend it. They're going to take incomings however they can get it. So if it's Dan Ashworth, it's a player, if it's whoever, if they say, hey, if Man United give us 12 million for Dan Ashworth, that's not bad. We'll take that. It's not bad going. So that whole 12 months thing, it's just negotiating. You've got to negotiate to get the best negotiator.
Shut up! This is business!
Hey. This is business, bro. Business is happening. Look, Owen, like, when you decide, you know, and they weren't foolish. They looked at this guy and said, this is the only target, and he has a job already. Okay. We know where this is heading. We're now gearing up here for a interesting summer. You know, because I believe those conversations, the way it's not even ratified, you know, like how the deal's not done, but everyone seems to be working and doing their job.
Bellsford's got an office at Carrington. I thought you haven't started yet. Well, you know.
Well, and do you know who I feel sorry for? Don't they own another club? Because they haven't been there since.
Yeah.
They haven't turned up to there in time. They just did. They did worse than Uncle has. Like, it's mad how they've like literally because we haven't seen Uncle since AFCON. And they literally
and he's been around, by the way. I've seen him in the chat. He has been in the chat, but he's refusing to show his face. And he doesn't even show his face.
But look, this is how mad it is. But they've come. It's mad because now they're at Man United. They haven't really started work, yeah. But the conversations are happening. You already know. You like in them police, you know, at those police stations, you see these crime documentaries, and they've got the board of what this thing needs to look like. It's all on there. You can imagine it's all.
There's a lot of string.
Players. There's a lot of string happening. They are having conversations that they're like, you know, we shouldn't be talking right now. If we get caught, we'll get in trouble for this. But it's unofficial. These are unofficial chats. But who we buying next summer?
Yeah.
Who we going in for? Absolutely. And if you're telling me we can bring in like Matoma types, players that are like, you know, 5-6 million here and there, I would love it. I would love Man United to operate this way. That would be a dream scenario for me. And they said that they want to get him in because with all the plans that they have for summer, as in who we're getting rid of, like even the Varane and Casemiro conversation, that needs to be really looked at. It's not just hey guys, they get paid this amount of money. You have to look at the squad and say, this team, you don't want to do a Chelsea. Chelsea ripped out. I believe they kind of gutted themselves, took out maybe some of the soul of their team, and they lost too much all at once. You have to do this thing strategically. So you got to say, well, how valuable is Casemiro to the dressing room? Bro, so you're looking, all these Omar, Dan, you're about. Do you feel that it's right for us to cut our losses on Casemiro? Or do you think, you know what, we still need him to be a part of the next phase? Is he good for Kobe's development? Is he good for that's key. You know, then you got the thing with Varane. Well, how important is Varane for that back four? Yes, we pay him a certain wage. We're gonna offer him a new contract, but isn't it worth offering him a new contract? These are the kind of these are the pieces that the club needs to kind of iron out and have these kind of conversations. Now, I don't think Maguire one is a crazy one. I think still sell. But then there has to be the uncomfortable conversation about McTominay. Do we like him off the bench? Can he off? Are you with me? Like,
there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations. One of my uncomfortable conversations is, KG, are you hardwired?
No.
Maybe just.
I'll put that in.
Yeah. No, you're all right. There are some uncomfortable conversations to have. But this was my point earlier on. When it comes to negotiations as well with any players in the summer, previously, we have been mocked for our negotiation abilities. We have been mocked when it comes to
still here, by the way.
The prices that we've paid. Comes to this happened twice to me today. This happened with Flex this morning and now KG. You're just as bad as each other. That's what it is.
Oh, absolutely. That's the spirit duo.
It's very true. It's very true. Yes, when we negotiate, we've been mocked by clubs and by teams. Rasmus Højlund, you go, how much is he worth? They go, he's probably worth 40. So how much are we going to pay? We're looking for 80. And excuse me, you know? And then we end up going down a little bit, but still to a really high price. To what was it in the end? 60, something like that? Maybe close to 70. I forget what the actual number was. A lot of money.
I think it's going to be value for money. But carry on.
But the point being is we get mocked. Anthony's another example, isn't it? Going, how much is he worth? 40. We end up paying 85. What Dan Ashworth can bring, if he's overseeing, as they said, he negotiates and closes deals. If clubs do start to take the mix, they see Man United and they see us walk in and walk to the table and they see a cash cow, Dan Ashworth can say, look, this is how much we're willing to pay. Your player wants to join us because we're Manchester United. And if they go, oh, but you've got all this money, so we're going to charge you this amount, he can go, our recruitment department is so solid, we've already got 3 or 4 more targets in that position. So either you crush this guy's dream and we walk away and we go get someone else, or you agree to our terms. And you get the money. And you get the money that's right. Yeah. Not Man United kind of, this is all, we'll give you whatever because we haven't thought of anyone else. And by the way, it's the end of the season. The window shuts tomorrow, so we're just going to have to give you something. It's like, no. This is in early June, by the way, KG. This is early June territory. We're not even thinking about tour at this point. That's what it needs to be. That's what it needs to be at Manchester United. And that's what Dan Ashworth hopefully can do.
No, listen, you've sold I'm already sold on the dream, mate. Like, I'm locked in. I think this is the right way the club needs to be moving. I think the Rasmus Højlund, just on that, the Rasmus Højlund money, we're going to look back at that and say, hey, yo, we got him for a steal. Honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but that kid is going to be phenomenal.
The conversation around Rasmus, not honestly about him. The conversation, the goalposts that have been shifted when it comes to him, I think is nothing short of disgraceful. It is absolutely disgraceful. He has scored 5 in 5, and people are going, so what? So what? You go, a minute, he's the second youngest player to do it in Premier League history. He's the youngest player to ever do that at Manchester United. And people are still having a go. They're still having a go. They're going, well, I'll see. But some of them are United fans, by the way. Some of them are United fans going, well, I'll see. And do you know why? It's because I think as a fan base, some people are too proud to admit when they're wrong. We go so hard
Yes.
and so fast on certain opinions. And I'm not knocking that because we're all reactionary. We're all emotional when it comes to whatever happens at Man United. But guess what? There's nothing wrong with admitting, I tell you what, I had my doubts, but he proved me wrong. Or I had my doubts, I wasn't sure of him, and he's doing well. We'll see how it plays out. But a guy scores 5 in 5, and it's like, wow, so he should. He's a striker. Wow, you know, teams that were not even servicing him that much. He scored 5 in 5.
This is what I'm saying. Absolutely.
Ridiculous.
You're right. Even there's the part that, like, I was thinking about how we, because my player that I jumped out of the window early on, and I don't think I'm just thinking one day I hope I have to like see Onana in real life and say, mate, I'm really sorry. I said a lot of shit stuff about you, like, you know, on the tour, like, and say, mate, like, I was wrong. Because let's say Onana carried on the form that he's got forever, like, and they don't make a decision on him, I will be in a situation where it would be kind of like Maguire, where when I see Maguire before, I'd never say a word. I see him and I just do something else.
Because it's awkward, because you're like, well,
yeah, because if I know I chat shit about you, I don't want to pretend that, like, if I see you, be like, hey, mate, like, we're best friends. No, because I've been slacking you off. Like, that's taking the piss. So, but now I'm just like, if this guy turns it round, I would have to apologize live and direct to his face. I say, listen, Onana, I didn't believe you'll get it right, but you did it. You got it. Even I had to do it with Delo at the last, on one of the I saw Delo and I go, you're not Delo. I didn't think, I thought it was, but you're the guy. Well done. I
remember you did an interview with him. It was you and Flex with Dalo after one of the games, and you even brought up Cam's name like he would know who Cam was.
He doesn't know who Cam is. And I was like, I mean,
you went, yeah, Cam's been saying you're really good, and we had a back and forth, and Dalo just gave Katie the blankest look and say, who the F is Cam? Like, what's he talking about?
But then, no, because obviously we see these players, like, tour's a real thing when you kind of get close to the players, and there's some players that will need, like, if they've done the right things and they've turned it around, and I'm okay, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to say, look, I messed up. I got it wrong. I totally misthought, like, what I saw you doing and the game that you're playing now. Thank you so much. You're delivering. Because even if you see Maguire does need praise. When you see Maguire, it's like, Maguire, you're actually doing your damn job. Well done.
Yeah.
Bloody well done.
Yeah. That's what I've been saying this season about Maguire. Like, that's what I haven't got to is, so everyone wanted Maguire to go in the summer. Everyone did. Best for his career that he went, because he wasn't going to play. And it's only because of injuries that he's got back into the side. Let's be honest, this season, like, this wasn't the plan for him to get back into the team, but he has. And so when he has played in recent, this season and, recent weeks when he's been back at the weekend, you go, he's been excellent. Like, and what I don't get with it is you go, I tell you what, today he played really well, but he shouldn't be here, KG. Why is he here? He should be gone. He should have left in the summer, this, that, and the other. And you go, I'm not disputing that. That. I can't turn back time, and I can't predict the future as well. What I can talk about is what's just happened, and I can be fair. And say, you know what? He played well. Good for him.
Can I give you the response to that? Of what you said just now? So what you're saying is you want him to stay?
Oh, okay. So I thought you were going to go, well, your standards are on the floor then, mate.
Oh, no. That's coming next. No. First of all, they ask you where you stand on your summer. So you're saying that.
Yeah. So you're saying you think Harry Maguire's our best friend at the club? So you're saying that you'd rather have Harry Maguire than Rafael Varane? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Getting rid of this is one. Getting rid of Varane and Casemiro and keeping Harry Maguire, the state of this club. You go,
standards.
Like I said, it's about what you haven't said as opposed to what you have said, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Listen, I'll be real with you. I love United fans. We're all just desperate for success. When it comes down to it, we're all desperate for success, and we've been in the mud for so long. The infighting, all this other stuff that's been getting on. We're this. This is who we are. Until we have success, I think it's going to be a lot like this. But now we're going in the direction of a team that is trying to be serious. A team that is getting the structure together, getting the right guys in. I still think Ten Hag is the face of this project. Personally, that's what I am saying. I feel Ten Hag is the guy that can deliver us to the promised land and really take us over the, like, I think he'll get us there. Now, it's with time, it's with the community saying, I know a lot of people giving up on the manager, but giving him, I don't know if it's one more chance for you. Like, I don't know how many chances you've given him, and I don't know how many times he's let you down. But I feel for give this guy a chance with this setup. Give this guy a chance and let's see what happens.
I think with Eric, and this is what I've said all the way through this season, I think now he is fighting or managing for his Man United job. I think he's got now between now and the end of the season. I don't think that Ineos are going to be paying a ton of attention as to what's happened previously this season. I think between now and the end of the season, not even if it means we don't get top 4, but we're close and we win the majority of our games, and they go, well, actually, I tell you what, United were a lot better, and Eric's got a grip of things now, then I think he'll get that chance. If it's like it has been at the first half of the season, then I do think he'll be in a spot of bother. But look, as we've seen since the turn of the year, people can talk about performances all they want. Results have picked up. They have picked up. And I saw, it was shocking, actually. I saw even Sky was saying, oh, United are in good form at the moment. United are doing well, positivity. Harry Maguire's doing interviews and not putting his foot in his mouth, which I couldn't believe when I saw that. He didn't say anything about managers picked me. Lots of managers picked me, you know what I mean? So he didn't say anything like that. Praising Jim Ratcliffe. I thought this is, maybe things have turned the corner. So I think with Ten Hag, it will remain to be seen. I think that conversation will happen regardless. When new people come in, they will have that. They will have that conversation about him regardless. But certainly we'll have to wait and see. But guys, that is the latest news. A lot, actually, we've covered in this. This was, by the way, KG, this was meant to be an 8-minute pre-record.
That's hilarious. I'm looking to
into a live hour and a half. Yeah, there you go. So the latest news is that, well, it started off being that the expectation is an agreement between Newcastle and Manchester United for Dan Ashworth could be in place as early as next week. Then we got an update from David Ornstein, who said that Dan Ashworth has already gone to Newcastle to say he has been approached by Manchester United to become the sporting director, but there is now the issue of compensation. Newcastle reportedly could want up to £10 million for him and are insisting that he serves out the 12-month notice period on his contract, but that could be waived if the right financial terms are reached. So stay tuned. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. with the Morning View Flex and myself. We'll have What the Devil coming up tomorrow at 6 p.m., the collaboration between United View and United District. Friday, we'll have obviously Morning View, we'll have a press conference, and we'll have the Trinity, episode 3, KG. There's been a lot of positivity about the Trinity podcast. It kind of got quite crazy last week, you know, but that's what it is. That's what that show is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go.
Look after
anything you want to plug, KG? Anything you're doing on your channel?
No, 10:30 tomorrow. We you lot can call in, have your say about this. And yeah, literally. And I need to remember, I've just done a fitting for my show, and I need to make sure that it's not the same time as the Trinity podcast. At the moment it is. So I'll change it.
Well, we'll see you again very soon. Right, guys. Peace.